Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jessica Abernathy, and with me today is Tricia Montgomery, and you are listening to Pets Are Family. Hi, Tricia.
Hello, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We got a little bit of brighter colors today, not so dark and deep.
Yeah, well, we're both going a little bit on the sunshine side today.
I am looking out and it's beautiful sunshine, and I hear Mr. Brutus in the background there.
Oh, he might be around there. I have him locked up
Okay,
so that way he
okay.
doesn't bother us too much.
Well, my dog is on spa day today, so I'm having a little bit of downtime to do some work, and actually it feels pretty lonely without him. I'm so used to him being underfoot and going out like every 2 hours and three, it's like, wow, where is he? So, yeah, definitely he's put an imprint in my heart, as
Oh,
well as my work schedule. Um, so today we have a very special guest who's going to be joining us. Her name is Jacqueline Lemieux-Boucar, and I'm hoping that's the right pronunciation of that. I'm not going to tell her story. I'm going to let her share her story with you. But she wrote a book, um, and it's called "Remember Me as Sunshine," and she sent me a beautiful copy of it. And in it are really love poems for dog that she wrote for her dog. And the photography, she did all the photography herself. She used to work for Vanity Fair and Vogue. And she wrote this in remembrance of her dog. And the story is beautiful. She attended our Navigating Pet Loss and Grief webinar. And she said, I'm going to send you something. And I had been to her website before. I got introduced to her through a beautiful friend of ours on our Mrs. March board, Gina Dial. And she sent me, and I got this package in the mail. I opened the package, and I kept the wrapping. This is the wrapping paper that it came in, with the yellow heart, Remember Me as Sunshine, and a beautiful book, and dealing with pet loss and celebration. So I think you're going to just cry. You're going to love her, and she's a beautiful light of what she's trying to accomplish through this book and through her writing and her stories and the poems in this book and what this book represents to her. So let's go ahead and bring her on.
all right. Let's go, go, go.
Welcome back to Pets or Family podcast. We are honored to have Jacqueline Lemieux-Boucar with us on our podcast today. Talked a little bit about her in the intro, but my friend Gina Dial introduced the two of us, and Jacqueline, you actually participated in our Navigating Pet Loss and Grief webinar. You followed up after that time, and you asked for my address. And you sent to me this beautiful book, Remember Me as Sunshine. And there are love poems. And the photography, everything was so beautiful. And I was so touched by it. Oh my goodness, I think I went into tears. I have kept the wrapping paper because I was so touched by the beauty and everything that went into this, including the note that you wrote and the thought that went into this from Remember Me as Sunshine. Jacqueline, I'm gonna be quiet, which is rare for me, as Jessica knows, but I want people to know your story because I am so moved and touched by this and how you've taken this passage within your life and what you've done. So welcome and tell us the story of how you came to here for Remember Me as Sunshine.
Well, first of all, thank you, both of you. And I'm so honored to be part of this and so grateful to be part of this community that's talking about grief in this way and holding each other around the love of a pet. Because I always felt alone in this area and I held this grief for a long time. So this story goes back as our lives do, many years. And I don't think I can start this story without just a little intro onto how Boris became our dog, because I don't believe there are any coincidences. And I am here right now with you because of this dog. And this whole project, this desire to bring beauty to this area of sadness, is because of him and this experience. So I'll abbreviate it as best I can, but it has to start with my husband and I, who are both artists, fixing up a little house in Providence, Rhode Island that we had bought, and tiny little house. And he walks in one day and says, "I know what we're going to name our firstborn child." And kind of looked and laughed and said, "What?" And he said, "Boris." And I'm like, "Boris?" And he said, "Yes, Boris Boucar, like the tennis player, Boris Becker." And he's into tennis, my husband does. And so I kind of laughed it off. I did. And on you go with your life. We got married. We went on our honeymoon. We came back. I'm a stylist working in photography. He's a creative director working in advertising. And we make things. This is what we do. We buy a little house, not for investment, but it's our home, and we create magic out of it. It's just, we put our heart and soul into it, whatever we do. And we're ready for a dog. And so we're going to the animal rescue leagues and we're looking for dogs, and everything was a shepherd mix, and my allergies were bad. And the doctor had said, "Stay away from long-haired dogs, it's just not good for you," and so forth. But I was working with a photographer one day, and the assistant said, "I met this dog and I thought of you." Whoever says they thought of a person with a dog, I don't know, it just was one of those moments. And she said it was a Vizsla. Now, this is 1991, and this was not a breed that you heard of. It wasn't popular. She said she met this man, and he had this dog, and it was just so loyal and lovely. And she just said it reminded me of me. And anyway, we had never heard of this breed at all. And back then, when you were looking for yard sales and dogs and things like that, you read the newspaper. So Sunday morning, we're looking at the newspaper. This is months later, and there's Vizsla puppies. And so we call, and the woman says, "Oh, yes, I have puppies." And this is in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. She says, "Yes, I have puppies, but they're show dogs." And we said, "Oh, well, we're looking for a pet. Where that wouldn't be something that we would do. We want a dog that's a pet, and we will love it to death," and all that stuff. And she said, "Well, I do have one that's pet quality, that I would consider pet, but only one, and only if you're serious can you come and see it." So we get in our little car, a Carmangia convertible with a convertible that doesn't work. I mean, it was just crazy fun, wonderful time in your life when it was just that kind of free spirit. And we go and we go meet this woman, and she's an artist as well. We don't know it, but when we get there, it's pretty obvious. And she has this beanbag with all these Vizsla puppies, and they're all the same color, their noses and their eyes and everything. They're just the sweetest, lovely things. And we just immediately say, "Oh my gosh, of course, we're going to take one of these." And she said, "Well, remember I told you, there's one that I've put aside, and that's pet quality. Let me go get it." Now, we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or girl. None of that had been part of the discussion on the phone. She comes back, she has this chubby little puppy, and she said, "This is Boris." And we're like, "Oh, he's meant to be our dog." So he's named Boris. So there's our firstborn, child. And we treat him like our baby. I mean, we had Boris appreciation days. We would make his favorite food. I mean, he was my shadow. I had an old stick shift car, and he would sit next to me with his paw on my shift and look at me. When I'd turn this way, he'd look, he'd turn that way. I mean, it was love. He came with me on all the photo shoots. Everyone knew him. We were in love. And then my husband gets a job in Massachusetts, and we have a beautiful little baby, a little girl. We're just, that moment when life just feels like it's perfection. And we moved to Massachusetts, and lo and behold, we buy another old house that needs work. We can't buy anything new. It's always an old house that needs a tremendous amount of work. And 4 years, it's an old salt marsh farm, neglected beyond. Every window was broken. 13 layers of linoleum. It was really the white elephant of the area. And my husband and I, 4 years, we restored this house. And we had workers working with us, but it was a 4-year restoration. And it was our heart. I mean, we put whatever we do, we put everything into it. And at the very end of the restoration, after 4 years, so our daughter's now 5 years old. She just turns 5. It's February, winter in New England. It's cold. And we're having the kitchen painted by some workers, fully, licensed, recognized painting company. And unknown to us, they shoved newspaper into a recessed light fixture in the kitchen and put drop cloths all over the stove, the countertops. And then they also shut off the smoke alarms, which were hardwired, and we didn't know it. So we went to bed that night, and our dog Boris usually slept in the kitchen, but he slept in our bedroom. And while we were sleeping, he stood by our bed and barked in a way that we'd never heard him bark before. And I got up and said, Boris, it's okay, go back to sleep. But he stood there with this low, deep growl bark. Jumped up. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was so disorienting because there was this thin film that you couldn't describe. It didn't make sense, but something wasn't right. And there was a long hallway, and then our daughter's bedroom was at the end, and then a staircase to go downstairs. The house was from 1777, so an old house in New England. And when my husband ran downstairs, I'm in the hallway behind him, and I hear him scream, oh my God, there's a fire. When he opened the kitchen door, we didn't know this until the fire inspection afterwards, the newspaper had smoldered that the painters had put into that light fixture, fell onto their drop cloths that were covered with solvents, created a bomb, exploded, and the whole house, there was a ring around the house that was completely on fire. And so once my husband opened the door, it became a backflash. And this wave of fire, just floor to ceiling, just took off. He ran up the stairs. I didn't see any of this. He ran up the stairs screaming, oh my God, there's a fire. Grabbed our daughter out of the bedroom. I ran back to grab our daughter. To grab Boris and the phone to call 911 because back then, though you might have had a cell phone, it wasn't what this thing was now. It was a landline that you could walk around the house with, if you remember what that looked like. And as soon as I went back into the bedroom and came back out, it was a completely different experience. That thin film had turned into black, solid. I don't know if you know anything about fire. I didn't. But it's like, it's solid. You cannot see, you cannot breathe, it's disorienting. It's so scary. And every step feels like 100 steps. So I had Boris next to me, I could feel him. I had the phone, and I'm holding along the wall, just touching to see where I am. And I come to the newel post to go down the stairs, and the flames are literally, all of the curtains are on fire, paintings are in the fire. It's this wave of fire that is coming the whole room. It was the entranceway to the house. And I thought, this is the moment you die. And I was going down the stairs. I could feel Boris with me. My husband had already made it out the door with our daughter. And as I went to step over the threshold, the whole door frame was on fire. It was honestly a miracle to step out of that. And as I stepped up, Boris stepped back and the windows exploded. And he wasn't with me. And you are in such shock. Everything that we had made was gone within minutes. We watched our bed catch on fire and fall through the living room floor. It was a 5-alarm fire, which is massive. There were news cameras there. All of a sudden, you are just in this dream. I don't know. It is so huge. And I was frozen there. I had my pajamas on. My husband and I both had pajamas on. Our daughter had pajamas. He ran to our neighbor's house with our daughter so that she didn't see this. I couldn't move. And I ran from fireman to fireman. My dog, please, my dog, you must, my dog, you have to save my dog. And the whole house was on fire. I mean, it was so huge that later when we spoke to one of the firemen and we said, we didn't hear sirens. Did you do sirens? And they said, when the call went out, all the firefighters were told, don't use your sirens. It's the middle of the night. You're going to be able to see this fire from a mile away. It was totally engulfed. And all of my books I watched burn, and all of my artwork. I had a past life that I created beautiful things for magazines and was part of teams that created beauty. And I worked with masters, Irving Penn, Richard Avedon, people that I just respect so deeply. Annie Leibovitz, it was my life, right? At that time. And to not be able to reach Boris and to watch everything disappear was so heartbreaking. And then at one moment, all the down pillows and blankets that in New England you have when it's cold winter nights, all the cotton from that burnt, but all the white feathers floated up into the sky above these billows of flames. And I was standing there and they all fell over me. And I was just covered. The sky was thousands and thousands of white feathers. And it just seemed like a sign that it was going to be okay. I don't know. It was so huge, this experience. And Boris was gone. And so when the sun came up the next day, you just think everything's going to be okay. Something's going to be there. But there was nothing. I mean, I wanted to send you some photos of the fire because I have to sometimes look at what we walked out of, what we survived. And it was because of Boris. It was because of our dog. When the workers shut off the smoke alarms, which were hardwired, there was no other way we would have known. We actually built back on that land, and my husband and I did kind of a trial run of that night, of how that felt and how we got out. And we timed it at 2 minutes, 11 seconds. And that was actually us having time to kind of say, no, I think we went this way. It happened this way. It was so quick. In less than 2 minutes, our lives were completely different. and Boris wasn't with us. And he had been with me through everything, right? When you have a dog, he was 7 years old. He was everything. He was by my side constantly. When I was pregnant with our daughter, it was a hard pregnancy, and I would have to rest a lot, and he would just know and lie down with me. It would be 3 a.m, and he'd be by my side at my feet. Um, I, I've never felt such love for an animal before, and I've had dogs before, but there was this connection that we had that was just so extraordinary. And oh, we just loved him so much. And after the fire, the community came together in such beautiful ways. Oh my goodness. I mean, talk about being held by community and spirit. And we held a memorial for Boris on the beach, and everyone came with their dogs. But we were still in shock, and I was in shock. And I had had a miscarriage right before the fire, and then right after the fire. And it went from one big experience to another. My husband called his boss and said, "I can't come to work, my house burnt down." I mean, we were just saying things as though it was normal, but nothing was normal, you know? And his boss said, "Come live with me." I mean, we were held in such beautiful ways. But we moved 5 times in 2 years, and twice before the babies were 3 months old. So I fast forwarded on that. I'm sorry, but out of the blue, we had twins. We were pregnant with twins, and within 2 years, we gave birth to a boy and a girl, and we named our son Boris. So there's the connection back to that. And now back to this book. You know, grief doesn't have a timeline, right? Grief is this thing that changes, but there's no sort of recipe for how to deal with it. And there were so many things that I did to remember Boris. Oh my gosh, so many things. Back on the land, I planted a hillside filled with dog violets, and in the spring, they all come up and they're purple, mostly purple, some white, and they're in the book. And I actually went and picked some of them, quite a few, and pressed them because our daughter that we pulled from the fire in our arms that night is getting married, and they're going into her wedding invitation. And so everything just comes back full circle. But this book and this desire to create beauty around this was really this moment of seeing your life. And I had the opportunity to see my life because of Boris. And everything changed when the conversation went from my house burnt down to I survived a fire to my dog saved my life. And everything almost came into this moment of such beauty and clarity. And I started seeing him in the simplest of things, in some flowers that I remembered us walking past when he was a puppy, or something that symbolized moments in his life, our time together. And we moved to California. We still have our house in Massachusetts. We're renting a house here in California. 2 beautiful places to be. We came here for work, and I was back and forth across this huge country. And I always sat by the window, and I never watched anything. I just looked out of the window with such gratitude that I am here on this earth, and thanking Boris. And I started just hearing him speak to me through these poems that were just words that I started writing down. And I'm not a writer, but I collected them and just captured them, and then I wrote back visually to him. So I photographed. I needed to figure out a way to make this come to life and have meaning, because it was so important to me that it feel real, like the love of a dog, and not be photoshopped and not be created in any other way, but that everything be as pure and honest as this love is. So this is a long time coming, this book and this project. So I planted all the flowers that he would have seen on a walk. I collected all of the things, the rocks that symbolized that I had and brought with me from Massachusetts to California that symbolized our walks on the beach. And then I started meeting all these old soulful dogs. And you know, every dog has a story. And all of these dogs in this book are just so extraordinary and so soulful. So I started doing these portraits of these dogs, and so many of them have passed, but it was such an honor to be present with each one of them. I mean, there was one dog, her owner was 101 and had just passed. And when I asked her woman, the woman who was her, daughter, who was the owner also with her mom, and I asked if I could photograph her, she said, oh, she's very shy, and I don't think, I'm not sure she would do that. And I said, well, if I could have a moment with her, I think I could take a portrait of her. And that's beautiful, Heather, with the yellow and all the little blue forget-me-not flowers that are so teeny tiny, those flowers. And it's her ears up, and I called her name, and I just spoke to her about love and how she was loved and how she gave love. And it was though she knew, and she just looked at me. And it was like 5 frames, and it was that moment. But to make that page, I took tiny pieces of paper, and a straw was too big. I wrapped it around a toothpick and then glued it and made all these tiny little mounts and clipped every single one of those forget-me-nots that you see and placed it on the piece of paper on huge hand-painted big sheets of paper in natural light, exactly as you see it. You could pick it up at that moment. And I had to work quickly. It was so meditative because they die quickly, these flowers. And whatever was going to happen was going to happen, right? I had to just let it have the universe hold me through this. So everything is symbolic. The rocks that have a line around them, there's a tradition that when you find a rock and it has a line, you make a wish. And so those are my rocks. Wishes have been made, and I wanted to create something that used my talents in a way where someone on the other end held this and knew someone cared. It was so important to me that it be as beautiful as I could make it and worthy of the love of a dog. That was my desire. And also modern and timeless, but a little old-fashioned. So I love that you can write with a pen. I love that you can print out a photo of your dog and place it on that page opposite the forget-me-nots and write your dog's name in it. I love that there's all these little stories within the story that you wouldn't know until you engage with the book slowly, which is what happens when you love an animal. It doesn't happen immediately. It's over time and going back and reflecting and holding. And so to hold something, really hold something that someone made with such love, was so important to me. And so when you turn the pages, I have a copy here. I'm sure you've seen it, but whether or not, but it pays homage to the Rainbow Bridge in a modern way. And then you can, so the love notes at the front, you read through it and you read the love notes. And at the end, there's the ribbon from the love notes that you can then write your own memories and tie together symbolically for you with your love for your dog. So even though I didn't want to just say all this stuff in the book, it's one of those things that when you connect with it, you can read into it however you like. But those were my meanings, my desire. And then also I have to just say, so this is my dad, my sweet, beautiful, 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 beautiful dad, the kindest man, loved animals, fed all the birds, just, okay. And back in, so this is 1998, the summer before the fire, which was February 1999. This is the porch that we ran out of the house right by the doorway. And I had my camera. It was an old, camera that I used, my Nikon that I always had with me. And black and white film, 27 or 36 exposures. The beauty of it, you didn't know what you got until you developed the film, and there it was, and it was always a gift, right? You didn't take 500 million photos. It was whatever it was. And this was the last photo on that roll of film. And as I came up the gate, up the porch, there was my dad with Boris sitting there with his little kid sneakers on. I mean, look how sweet my dad was. Oh my gosh. And Boris loved him, and he loved Boris. And that was the photo. And I wouldn't have even had that, but I had sent it to my mom and dad because all my photos disappeared. Everything that I had created physically disappeared at that moment. But this photo was there. And after the fire, a hawk appeared on the land, and we said it was Boris. And one day, it was February 4th, the anniversary of the fire, I was on the land, and the hawk was circling, and it dropped a feather. And I was like, okay, I'm here. And so I just see all these signs all the time. And I just know spirit is real. And I'm a different person, a better person for having had the love of Boris and have given that love. It's we hold each other. And I wanted to pay tribute to him and honor all dogs, because whether you've known a dog for a week or 2 weeks or 18 years, it is such a gift to be present in each other's lives. And it is so extraordinary how they hold us. Yeah. Right? Oh. So I wanted to bring beauty to this place of sadness, and that was my desire.
Jacqueline, that is so beautiful. And just the story and the creation of Remember Me as Sunshine. Tell me about the semblance of the yellow heart.
So yellow heart symbolizes best friend. And so there's a number of things that I've created around this, and you'll be getting them today. So
that was just the doorbell. That was the doorbell that just went off. It just arrived.
Oh, so it actually might be right there. And you could open it on camera. But everything that I do has symbolism and meaning. It's so important that everything be experiential to me, like the experience that you have with your dog. And I have just thought about this for years. And before I present anything, it is tested, it is held, it is me. And so there's this little chiming heart that I love beyond. It's the sound of love. And a yellow heart symbolizes best friend, and it's a yellow enameled heart. And I keep one in my pocket or my purse. Um, One's in my yoga bag, so I practice yoga and meditation every day, and that has guided me in so many ways. And I place one at the top of my mat every morning in my meditation. And it just reminds me that, I've had this beautiful experience. I am here because of him. And then also there's something so lovely. In the front of the book is a little yellow enameled heart that is for your pet that has passed their friends, the surviving pets, to acknowledge that they have a tender heart and that they've lost a friend, because we can't see how our other pets are mourning. And they are. I mean, this is a tremendous loss for everyone. But when you see the connection that these animals have with each other, oh my goodness, it's profound. So I wanted something that acknowledged them as well, to be able to say, be tender with me. I'm grieving. And it means a lot to me to be able to help all animals, right? And to bring tenderness and beauty to this area, and make a difference. And then there's the little seeded hearts that you plant with your dog's name on it. And it's made in America with North American wildflower seeds that attract butterflies. And so, do we have time to explain the butterfly wings?
Absolutely, you do.
Okay. Because, so my dad, when I was in kindergarten, and I promise this will be quick, but he brought me a butterfly that had died on the windshield of his car when he was at work one day. And he painted airplanes for the Army. He did hand painting, lettering, and camouflage is one of his jobs. So he was an artist in his own right as well. And he brought me this butterfly. And it was honestly the most beautiful thing I had ever seen that I could hold, right? I had seen them flying around, but I could hold this butterfly. And I brought it to show and tell. And I remember telling everyone that this was the most beautiful thing I had seen. And so after the fire, I was walking on the beach one day, and there had been a storm in New England, a lightning storm, and it was low tide, and there were 7 monarch butterflies that had died, and they were on the beach. And I had a t-shirt on, and I picked up the butterflies and I put them in my t-shirt, and I brought them home and I brushed them off. And I saved them. And when my dad passed away, I put one of the butterflies in his coffin for him, so that he could fly. And I could remember him as a butterfly. And so I have a butterfly garden, and I actually bring the milkweed into our bedroom when the caterpillars are really big and they turn to chrysalis. And I've woken up here with 5 chrysalis all opening in the morning of butterflies transforming. And then I'll bring them outside after they dry their wings and let them free. But we had a dog after Boris, and it took a long time, and he was wonderful. But no one takes the place of that other dog, and his name was Otis. And the kids had him when they were growing up, and when we moved here, and he was 13 and a half, and he passed. And we were able to create the most beautiful send-off for him. Unlike Boris, where it was so sudden and in shock and beautiful. This was celebratory. I rang a singing bowl for every year he was in our life. I anointed his paws with essential oils from the orange tree that I made in the backyard. I mean, it was to such depth. And I made a crown of chamomile and placed it on his head. And when he passed, we had a doctor come to the house. When he passed, I covered him in yellow flower petals, and I put a monarch butterfly on him that was dead. And then we had him cremated. It was a different company that came, and I did aquamation. And they called and said he was ready to be picked up. And I said, okay, I'd like to come and get him. He said, we can drop him off. I said, no, I'd like to come and get him because I'd like to see the whole process. I'm interested in this and making a difference. And when I went, the man, his son was there, who was around 36 years old, 40, something like that. And he said, this was your dog? And I said, yeah, I asked you to cremate him with flower petals and a chamomile crown and a butterfly. And he said, I've never seen anything like this before. He said, when I opened the container after 17 hours, there was a skeleton of a butterfly on him. And I was like, what? And he said, yes. I said, did you save it? He said, no, because you asked me to cremate him with it. And I said, well, did you take a photo? And he said, no, I wish I had, but I was so just engaged with the whole experience that I just processed it. But I wanted you to know. And so I walked away feeling at peace that I had done what I could and held Otis until the very last moment of his life. And that's why also those butterfly wings are on Boris. So when I say everything in this book has meaning, I could sit with you for 2 days and tell you everything is symbolic, everything is intentional, everything is about the most beautiful healing for me to be able to translate this grief into something I could hold as well, and share with others and honor other dogs, and truly hope that someone on the receiving end of this feels that someone cares so deeply about their experience and understands and is really sending them sunshine and love and wants them to know that it matters what they're feeling and that love is real. So
Jacqueline,
that's me.
I am, thank you. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for sharing the story of Boris. Thank you for you. I just want to reach out right now and be beside you and be still with you right now. And thank you for your words. Thank you for giving back this beautiful gift to me and to others. I cherish this always, and I cherish our conversations, and so very beautiful. We're going to have your information up on our website for Remember Me as Sunshine, and all your information as well for that. And I just thank you for you. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for being an inspiration and strong, and you're simply put beautiful. Thank you.
I'm so honored. I honestly, to make these connections where we hold each other in community, and what you're doing to bring this conversation to other people, the webinar that you created, the amount of people who were there with tissues in their hands, grieving together. It's so important that we're not alone. And I am so tremendously grateful and honored. I never imagined this little puppy would have gone out into the world and continues to make a difference. I couldn't ask for anything more in my life, honestly. Thank you. Truly.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Wow. She is, she's incredible. Just such a beautiful soul, an incredible inspiration to people who may feel lost, who may feel like, their life has certainly taken a turn, and, feeling like their life may be over after such devastation, and for her to share and provide and give this light and hope is something that it was an honor to have her.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Jessica, on a lighter note, what is coming up here in the coming weeks? We've got some fun things coming up, don't we?
Yeah, we do. What do we got coming up in the next couple of weeks? Well, we're both heading off to Super Zoo in different forms of that, but we'll be there together.
Yeah.
But we'll be there. We're going to be flitting around, flapping all over the place. Both of us taking videos, which will be fun. So we'll be in good old hot Las Vegas that's breaking records left and right. You know,
Dry heat, though. Dry heat, not humidity. Dry heat.
I don't
My
care
hair
what
will
dry
look really
heat or-
cute because it'll be dry heat.
115 and plus is hot. I don't care if it's dry or humid. It's hot.
There's a difference, though. Dry heat versus humidity, because my hair looks really good in dry heat. But in, like, humidity, I look like some crazy frizzy person.
You know what? At 115, it doesn't matter if it's dry or humid, it's up. It's in a ponytail or it's on the top of my head. It doesn't matter what it is. It's up. You know?
But we're going back and forth to the convention center. We're really never outside. I mean, it's not like we're hanging out outside and in the swimming pool and like enjoying Las Vegas. We're at the conference working 24/7. People are like, oh gosh, you get to go to Las Vegas. I'm like, yeah, a lot of conferences, a lot of pet. I had never gone until I went for the first time for one of, I think it was Western States Veterinary Conference. First time that I ever went. Yeah, I've never gone for pleasure. I've always gone to work. So I'm not a gambler.
My first time going was I got married there. I think we said that
Really?
before. Yep, I got married at the Little White Church. The Little White Church.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Yep, I did. I got married there in 2011. I got married there.
Okay.
Yep. So, yep. Did that.
Okay.
It was different. It was kind of fun. That was my first time ever in Vegas. I spent a week there. Went and saw all the sights, Grand Canyon, all of it. Shopped, went through all the casinos. I was done. I didn't want to ever go back. And then after that, every conference I seem to go to happens to always be in Vegas. Every year there's multiples. It's either Vegas or Orlando.
Orlando.
Places
Go back. Always.
Can't stand either one of them.
Yeah, I know. And then because I drive, so I get stuck in Orlando traffic. That is a nightmare in and of itself. I think the only respite that I had this time, the HSUS show, was in San Antonio, Texas, that I got to attend. But next year, guess where it is?
Orlando.
Las Vegas.
Oh.
No, Las Vegas.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And Best Friends is in Orlando this year. So it's like the go-to conference place. So evidently that's where people like to go. But we got a lot of great stuff coming up. We've got some great podcasts coming up. We're going to be doing interviews from Super Zoo. It's going to be super cool at Super Zoo. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. So any Brutus stories that you wanna share with us today, with me today, on how you're making Brutus like integrate into your family?
Well, we're still working on potty training, because like I said before, Brutus and I are both got the same personality. We're both stubborn. So, we're working on potty training, but I have to say we went 4 days with no accidents. On the 5th day, we had an accident. So it's like, we were so close, you know what I mean? So we're working on it, So we've been doing a kind of a new technique, and it seems to be working. We also been putting him in the crate during the day. So he gets up, has breakfast, runs around, and then he goes into the crate for like around 9-10 in the morning, and he stays there until about 2-3 in the afternoon, and then we get him up and we play with him. Yeah, he sleeps that whole time too.
Wow.
I have to say this. He doesn't complain. He's not a whiner. He's not a barker. I got to give him that. But he sleeps. I mean, but if he wasn't in the crate, he wants to sleep on top of you, and we can't. I can't work. But I have to say though, because I have been Googling it, I have found, and I want to get him on our podcast. I have found a gentleman that actually has created a work chair, a work office chair that has a little sidecar so your dog can sit in the chair with you. And
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. And he's actually
Fudge, I want that.
I know. I was like, and he's like on Kickstart. He's like got all the funding and it's getting ready to launch. And I'm like, I want him on our podcast because that would solve half of my problems.
Oh my God, it's such the humanization of pets. But there was a New York Times article that just came out this week and saying you should not be doing this. It's detrimental to your personality, to your mental health. And I'm like, I don't know, mister, I'm going to write an op-ed in the New York Times and it's not going to be political. Right. I'm going to let this guy have it because that's not true. You know, he's probably one of those guys that doesn't even have a pet.
He doesn't have a dog. You know, yeah, and then he has like a staircase that you could do a staircase, and at the top it's like a bed, so it can go even with the couch or even with your bed, so that way they're eye level with you.
Stop it!
Yeah, and I was like,
what's his name? What is his name? I have to research it.
Oh, I'll send it to you. I've been doing some research on it because I was like, that is perfect for pet parents. Because I was like, but I think it's been really good that we've been doing that during the day. So it's like 4 or 5 hours he's in the crate by himself and he's in a room. I mean, I can hear him. He's right across the hall from me, so I can hear him and stuff. But he sleeps. He's got his alone time. He gets up. We go outside. We do the business again. We play a little bit, and then we come back in. You know what I mean? And it's just giving him, he's separated from us. So he's realizing that he does not have to be with us all the time. You know what I mean? We're just kind of.
Yeah. I get that because I know I have to start doing that because it's Frank, it's the two of us. And so he gets really like, you know, he barks to him and I am like, okay, I'm on my way. I am like, you know, I gotta stop that. But I have started, we talked about this last week. I started to crate train him again because he was completely potty trained. And then really, I think over the 4th of July holidays, he's like, storming outside. I don't think so. You know, I think I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm like, oh, no. So.
Oh, yeah.
We had a little
Brutus doesn't care. It could be raining. It could be thundering.
Jesus.
Yeah, he doesn't care. We can't wait for snow because that's going to be entertaining for us down here. But he could care, or up here, he could care less if it's raining. I mean, it could be pouring and he's like outside and I'm just like, oh, like, so I go get my raincoat and I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. And he's just like, do. Hey, I got to go check out this branch over here. I got to go check out these leaves. And I'm like, go potty. Come on, dude. And he's like, do. He's like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Look, there's a puddle here. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, I can't wait for snow. You know what I mean? Because when snow happens, he's just going to be like, that's one of the videos. Yeah, he's going to be like, what is this white crap?
Oh, I got Frank a raincoat actually because we had so much torrential downpours. I got me a raincoat and I got Frank a raincoat. Although they're not matching, they should be though. So. Anyway, well, Jessica, it was amazing to see you. And just again, thank you so much to our special guest. And remember me as Sunshine. We'll have the link on our site. We're going to have the link within the website and within the show notes. But again, the book is Remember Me as Sunshine and a beautiful story in tribute to her dog, Boris. Thanks, guys, for being with us today.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Pets Are Family. You can find us on all the channels now. Yes, all the channels now. So make sure you share us with your friends, your families, and your coworkers, and anybody that has a pet. Make sure you like us, give us your feedback, tell us if anything that you want us to talk about, all that fun stuff. You can reach me at Jessica at petsourfamily.net or Tricia at petsourfamily.net. Thank you for everything that you guys do, but make sure you like us, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. You can always see what we're up to. And we want to thank all of our sponsors, all of the people that support us. We love every one of you, and we can't thank you enough. And remember, check out Moose's March, moosesmarch.com, moosesmarch.com. Come check us out. Talk to you guys soon. We'll see you next week. Bye.